I've been playing a ton of Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. I finished the campaign, I've been checking out the new mechanics, I've been grinding in the Season of Hatred Rising, otherwise known as Season 7, and I've definitely got some thoughts. But here's the thing, I am not a hardcore player, so if you're looking for somebody that's super knowledgeable about all of the little character build details and the late game Diablo stuff that makes the game what it is, this is not that video, and I am definitely not that guy. Something that's been on my mind over the last couple of weeks since Vessel of Hatred launched is how intimidating a game like Diablo can be to somebody who's a casual player, and I'd consider myself to be somebody who is a casual player. In fact, I was thinking about not making this video at all because there are so many other people out there that are more informed on the best build guides and gear and strats to level up faster and flesh out that Paragon board and all of that other stuff. But I am doing all of that stuff in the game, and I absolutely love Diablo 4. I bought it on day one last year, burned through the campaign, did some late game stuff, and I've popped back in for a couple of seasons here and there to check out the new mechanics and see how Blizzard has kept building out the game. But I wanted to make this video out there for the other casual players that like the vibe of Diablo and the look of the gameplay but feel intimidated when it pops up in the Game Pass queue or has a sale on your platform of choice. Because at this point in any game's life, jumping in can feel kind of intimidating. I mean, just take a quick peek at some of the top Google results 2 weeks out from Vessel of Hatred. We've got guides on the best weapons, Spirit-born builds, changes to the world tier system, and all of those things are super useful for people that are hardcore getting back into the game. But if you're just a dude that's looking for something fun to play, none of that makes any sense, and it has a high potential to totally turn you off from wanting to play the game, because it's just a lot to digest and understand. But the beauty of jumping into Diablo is that you don't really have to pay attention to any of that, and Vessel of Hatred or Season of Hatred Rising is as good of a place as any to start. Now this video is going to be kind of split up into two different parts, one part getting into what's new in Vessel of Hatred and a quick rundown for people that are curious, and then the other half's going to be more about the casual experience, and I'll have some timestamps down below if you just want to skip around. And of course, totally spoiler free, none of that going on here. Now full transparency, Xbox sent me a copy of the expansion to check out, but I had already bought it before they even shot a code my way, and I had started grinding. This was a day one buy for me since the game launched last year. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time, but I want to start off with what's new to Vessel of Hatred. You've got a totally new narrative that continues the story of Neyrelle from the base game, along with a new region called Nahantu that makes its first appearance since Diablo 2. And then there's the big draw, Spirit-born, a totally new class that's really more like 4 different classes in one. And I just want to say Spirit-born is very cool, but it's locked behind the Vessel of Hatred expansion. You cannot play as a Spirit-born unless you have that expansion. So just know that going in. And of course, if you are a casual player, don't feel like you have to buy Vessel of Hatred. The other classes work perfectly well for everything going on here. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into the story side of things because I do want to be respectful of spoilers. We're like less than 2 weeks out as I'm recording this, but there are points in the narrative of Vessel of Hatred where it's just as good as the base game, which is a pretty high bar to set, and it picks up right after the end of the main campaign, where Neyrelle has taken Mephisto to Nahantu to hunt down the god Akarat's tomb to seal Mephisto away for good. And I won't get too much deeper than that, but the story does what it needs to do, and it's got a nice setup for the next expansion or the next game. It's very well done in my opinion. Also, Blizzard are the kings of cinematics, and not all of Vessel of Hatred's cutscenes have that same level of polish, but it's like the base game, where the peak story moments have some extra, oomph behind them, while those in-game cutscenes carry the moment-to-moment action. Either way, Blizzard knows when to pull out the stops and really drive that story home, and the last hour of the expansion in particular has some truly awesome moments for both of those cutscene styles. Getting back to the gameplay mechanics, there are things like the mercenary system and rune words that have been added as well, but at the bird's eye view, looking at the new additions to Vessel of Hatred, you've got 3 big things: the new story, the new class, and the new region. But then there are tons of changes that came with Hatred Rising, a new season of content for base game players that launched alongside Vessel of Hatred, and we're talking about a total overhaul to the progression system, a new level cap with more skill points for each character, new high-level gear, a totally reworked difficulty system, and like I said at the beginning, if you're a casual player, all of that probably means nothing. In fact, I'll be shocked if you made it this far into this video with me rambling. Shout out to the timestamps. But the thing that you need to know is that they made the game more fun than ever to just pick up and play, and that's really what matters at the end of the day. I bring all of these mechanics and stuff up to make it clear that if you want to check out Diablo for the first time, don't feel like you need to get Vessel of Hatred right off the bat. I said that earlier and I'm saying it again right now. The base game can totally keep you entertained for literally hundreds of hours, and the post-game updates that it continues to get still add more value without you having to spend another dime. And that's important to mention because I feel like a lot of the time these live service games can get get a bad rap for the pricey cosmetics they throw into the game, and Diablo is definitely guilty of doing that. I mean, right now there are $30 World of Warcraft skins that you can buy. That's nearly the price of the standard edition of Vessel of Hatred. Obviously, that's different for Vessel of Hatred content, like the Spiritborn class and related gear and features. All of that is exclusive to the expansion, and you don't need to have that to really enjoy the game. But in terms of the predatory microtransactions that make you feel like you have to buy something to be good, Diablo isn't really that game. In fact, over the last year, Blizzard just added a ton of cool free stuff to the game. You've got the Hell Tide, that's basically a rotating region of the game designed for you to grind and open chests. There's the Pit that made a comeback from Diablo 3 that drops you into randomized areas with waves of monsters and boss battles. And they've always got world events and random stuff that pops up to make the map and world really feel alive, which is where the new Realm Walker world event comes in for Season 7 that was added to switch things up a little bit and mix in a story beat from Vessel of Hatred. Good stuff. And those are just a couple of the standout examples I've had in my mind of hits for post-game content, but each of these and all of the other activities in the game offer unique rewards that help you get new gear, level, craft stuff. But for me, all of these are just incredibly fun gameplay loops to grind, and then after an hour or two, I've got some solid armor and weapons and all of the materials I need in my inventory to do whatever I need to do. The beauty of Diablo 4 is that even after a year and some change into the game's life, it's as deep as you really want it to be. If you're somebody who wants to dive into the patch notes and understand the best classes and builds and broken mechanics to take advantage of, Diablo can absolutely be that game for you. And they've got a very lively Reddit community over there that's always got the guides and breakdowns of what the best gear is for the season. Or if you're somebody who's just there to casually grind some dungeons after work, the game also makes it easy to pop around with different gear and go with whatever has the best stats in the way that you want to play. Now, the more you play, the more you're going to learn what's happening. Speaking as someone who really got into Diablo for the first time this generation, you can get into the stats, find the aspects to line up with your class and build, and get super into that side of stuff. But you can also go full South Park WoW dude at your computer desk and just mindlessly blow through wave after wave of demons. And no matter which of those paths you take, the hardcore or the casual, Diablo is an absolutely killer time. So there it is, kind of a brain dump on Vessel of Hatred, where the game overall is at, and how I play it as somebody who isn't min-maxing every day and just having a good time with the game. I've spent a lot of time with it over the last 2 weeks for the expansion, and a lot of time over the last year for the game overall, and definitely plan to continue grinding up this fall and winter. But I'd love to know your thoughts on Diablo 4. Are you a Diablo player? If you are, what do you think about the game? Have you played Vessel of Hatred? Do you like that story? Drop your thoughts down below. And if you haven't played Diablo 4, what do you think about the game from the outside looking in? Is Vessel of Hatred interesting? Do you want to check it out on Game Pass, or maybe you want to snag it for a sale? I'd love to know your thoughts. And as always, if you're new here and you enjoy this kind of content, you like what you see and what you hear, hit that subscribe button for videos like this every week and gaming news shorts throughout the week to keep you in the loop. And I'll catch you on the next one.